Hi, I'm Tim. Join me in this video as we go through the August 1973 issue of RC Modeler magazine. Let's get to it. This is the cover of the August 1973 RC Modeler magazine. Gorgeous picture of the Proctor Antic kit built. It's not a scale airplane. And as we go through this is being filmed in 2022. This magazine was almost 50 years ago. There was no internet for 22 years in the mid-1990s, no toll-free numbers, no even Japanese engine manufacturers as we go through the magazine. So this is the table of contents. Again, RC Modeler started in 1963, so this is the 10th year of publication. They're still kind of getting their feet on the ground, what they want to cover, how they want to cover. Don Dewey is the publisher, and this is his From the Shop. He'll introduce what's in this issue. There's going to be 2 construction plans, a few kit reviews, even a radio-controlled yacht will be in here. This is the first full-page ad you'll see. It's the only full-page ad, really. It's for Hobby Lobby. At the time, it was a very large, influential marketing company out of Tennessee. They've since been out of business. Don't confuse them with the Hobby Lobby craft stores. But they were a huge store at the time. And the prices back in 1973, any price you see multiplied by about 7, that's how much that product would cost today. For whatever reason, there's a column here by Paul Harvey, the radio announcer. Now we're starting off with the Engine Clinic. The Engine Clinic was the most popular column in RC Modeler magazine. Clarence Lee was a hyper knowledgeable, capable person. He designed engines. This entire clinic article is on a carburetor for your RC model airplane. The engines were incredibly finicky. It just took a lot of work to get them working right. Moving along, Sunday Flyer, a popular column by Ken Willard. Sunday Flyer just meeting an everyday sport flyer on the weekend. Here he's talking about the design aspects of float planes and what you want to do if you want to fly off the water. So a good thing for Sunday Flyers. This is an article on practical aerodynamics. It discusses load factors with bank angle and G-force use. No need for this for model airplanes, but they put it in here. The first of the 2 construction articles, Barracuda, a very nice looking sailplane. Sailplanes are very popular. They use bungee cords to launch them, and you use thermals to fly. There's no engine on that. And this is a complete construction article. A reader designed this, sent it into RCM. RCM produced these plans here. This is one of 2 pages. Expertly drawn plans, works of art, just wonderful. And you would buy the full-size plans from RC Modeler magazine. This was part of their business model, selling these full-size plans to modelers. And you could construct the sailplane from that. Some more pictures. Notice to save money, very few pictures in color in this magazine. This is the second construction article, The Real Thing. This is a kind of interesting model. It's a very weird looking sport flyer, 3 channels, 0.10 engine. The idea is it's super easy to build. So it's attractive to somebody who might be a little bit hesitant to build an RC model, but everything is included, but it's just very easy to build. The joke on the whole thing is a scale airplane or something designed in Kentucky to take to the air to look out for federal agents trying to collect taxes on alcohol sales. But it's just, it proved to be an extremely popular plan because people said, ooh, I could build this one. And they eventually made a kit out of it. Here are the plans. I will be making a foam board version of this. When I get it done, links will be in the description. Looks like a great candidate for an electric-powered foam board airplane with a 30-inch wingspan, which is the width of the foam board. So I'm looking forward to doing that. These are details of the wing, just the real thing, the fuselage, the gear, landing gear bolted right onto it. And just a cute little fun airplane for a sport flyer. Again, the idea is anybody can build this. Now just think you're back in 1973, 50 years ago. This is an article, How to Build Your Own Electronic Flight Timer. So in other words, you would build this at home. You just got all the components at an electronic supply store. So you could time your flight. So if you had 10 minutes worth of fuel in your airplane, you would set it for 8 minutes and land. This is just built into our transmitters now. There were no computers back then, no computer radios. This is what you did. This is another incredibly detailed, involved article on how to build your own retracts. Again, retracts were hard to do. There were not that many manufacturers. As RCM was, remember, it's not radio controlled airplanes, it's RC modeler. They're trying to find their footing, their voice, so they had a section on scratch building radio controlled sailing yachts, which I think is very interesting. They show the fiberglass plugs, and it's a nice little boat, just a area of the hobby to be developed. All you need is a two-channel radio to do something like this. This is a detailed update of the Kavan Jet Ranger kit from Model Rectifier Corporation. Hobby Lobby was responsible for this. Hobby Lobby had contacts in Germany. This kit came from Germany. You can just see back then the amount of work that some models would do to build their aircraft. You can see the spurs, the gears. This is a major construction project. And keep in mind, this is a helicopter with no electronics, no stabilizers, axis control, nothing, and it uses a gas engine. This is a .60 gas engine. The cutoff looks like a prop is a fan. I can't imagine building this, starting it, operating it, making sure everything works okay with the clutch assemblies and so forth. But back in 1973, modelers took on these sorts of tasks to get things done. It's really amazing what people would do at that time. Again, a very impressive kit, and no idea how many people made these things, but that existed back then. Everything was new to modeling. This is on plastics, the introduction of Lexan that might be of use to somebody building a model or considering that. This is of interest. This is the ReadyBird 23. Again, Hobby Lobby imported this. This is probably the first ready-to-fly kit that you could get. It was a three-channel setup with a gas engine, elevator, and rudder. And this is what the box looked like. The radio was actually installed. And this is a very new thing. The problem is the price of this with everything, the radio, the engine, is about $1,400 in today's money. That's a lot of money. And you'll see this theme throughout RC back in 1973. It was just expensive. And there weren't a ton of people doing it because it was expensive, thus not a ton of suppliers like we have today. Article on basic sailplane design. Again, a lot of people would use this to design their airplanes. This is a review of a kit of Ken Willard's Wavemaster. Ken did the Sunday Flyer column. This is a fiberglass kit. It's a pretty honest review. It's not a well-engineered kit. There was a lot of difficulty building it. Screws weren't the right length. But that's what RC Modeler did. And if you could put it together, you had a nice flying model. A useful article on drag and flutter for controls. For sure, this is of use for faster flying models, still true today. An interesting update on Lou Casal and his all-aluminum aircraft. He was an aircraft engineer that just built models out of aluminum. Now, they had .60 engines, weighed about 7.5 pounds, so it was probably a real handful flying them, but just a very interesting, exotic demonstration of the art of the RC modeler. So good on Lou for that. A column on yachting. I think this went for a couple of years. For what it's worth, was always a popular column of just building techniques, because virtually everybody had to build their RC models at the time. Just techniques for building, finishing, tips and tricks. Just handy for anybody building RC model airplanes. There was a page of cartoons on the Sunday outing with the kids. And now we're getting to the back section, the completion of the articles. Notice the Blue Max flying system. It came either fully built for $340 or a semi-kit for $265. Now note, the fully built Blue Max for $340, that'd be $2,300 today in 2022 for a 4-channel RC set. It was just a lot of money to fly back then. Kraft was probably one of the best radios of the time. These are the repair service centers for that. Again, this custom-built models here, you can see them. To get a fully custom-built model could easily start at $1,500. Again, it was just a lot of money for the average person to fly RC models at the time. We're super fortunate 2022 for the prices we have to pay. The Dremel modal tool was still in existence back in 1973. A very popular tool even today for folks building their own airplane. There were a lot of startups as people would try to kit their various designs. It was a hard life because you just a lot of work putting the kits together. How many could you sell? So they would come and go. Sure Flight with their little semi-scale airplanes. Orbit was a early manufacturer of RC systems. Southwestern Sailplanes made some small, easy-to-fly planes. The Honker was a very popular one. Midwest was an up-and-coming company. They produced several kits. They were around for a while. Again, people were still painting airplanes. Monaco was still a little bit into the future. Aerogloss was a popular paint for that. K&B was a very popular engine manufacturing company. Canon was the leader for the smallest radios you could get, but again, this is $1,400 for a 4-channel radio, and the lightest weight was 7.5 ounces. So you're not talking indoor flyers, but this is all you had. Notice no computers. It's just a transmitter for your airplane. Some more discussions on hobby epoxy products, which was a paint. This is a kind of odd thing. Maynard Hill was a prolific designer. This is an autopilot. He liked to fly long distances in airplanes. I can't imagine anybody getting something like this at the time, but there it is. This is a self-contained fuel box for all your controllers for fueling. VK was a very well done kits of incredibly well done scale airplanes. A lot of work building them, but beautiful kits. And these Rex things just for a little while. The launch pail, that's the surgical tubing to launch your sailplanes, with the engine starters just starting to come onto the scene. And again, smaller ads for Standard Supply Company. These companies would come and go. It was just hard to make a buck until Tower Hobbies came along. They were the first really big company, along with Hobby Lobby, to provide a wide range of supplies for modelers besides a local hobby shop. I was going to kick out of the winning model and hobby supplies out of Hong Kong. They carried ads for a number of years in RCM. Fox Fuels. Fuel was important because everybody flew gas engines. There was virtually no electric powered flight at the time. And a few more ads for various suppliers for radios, kits, and things of that nature. The Chaos was a pretty popular pattern aerobatic airplane, kitted here if you wanted to buy that. Again, some more kits. A prop balancer. When was the last time you used one of those? And a few more kits. And we're coming towards the end here. And what you'll see that's kind of funny in this day and age, remember there's no internet, there's no email. Right here, if you wanted to change the address, if you moved or something, you had to send this in with your old address level so RCM would know where to go to send your magazines. This Antic right here was on the cover thing, the Proctor Antic. A few more odds and ends towards the end. A flying box, finishing up the various articles. The RCM decal was always available to promote themselves. And finally coming to the end, page 117.
Beautiful.